another episode of Post-Fades and Cheesesteaks. We got some top 10 wide receivers coming into the 2022 season, so that's exciting. We got myself, Dakota, Timothy over in the London area, and then, of course, Josh. Josh, where are you stationed?
Newtown, PA.
Oh, represent.
Representing. We love the 215.
Oh, the 215, of course. So, we're going to be our wide receivers. So, as always, we start with the guests, and we'll start with our nominations. So, Josh, who do you have just barely missed the cut?
So the first one I had, it was kind of like 11 for me, was CeeDee Lamb.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's like a young ascending guy that obviously has all the talent in the world. I mean, he's got a good quarterback, a great system. He's got a ton of vacated targets up in the air now with Amari Cooper gone, Michael Gallup missing the first few weeks. I could see the opportunity is there for this guy to step up and finally kind of blossom into that alpha receiver that he has all the athleticism for. Game breaker with the ball in his hands, but he's just never stepped up as if it was Dak's injury, if it was Amari Cooper there. But, I mean, he goes over 1,000 yards first two seasons. I think maybe this year we might see 13, 14, maybe 1,500 yards out of him. But, again, he's just on that cusp of not making my top 10 just because he hasn't proved anything to me yet. But going forward, he definitely could be there. I also have DeAndre Hopkins for other reasons. Kind of the opposite. Kind of the opposite reason of CeeDee Lamb. Like, this guy has done it, but at the same time, kind of didn't look the same last year. And he had scored all the touchdowns, but he kind of slowed down a little bit. PEDs, not great. And then he's missing 8 games this year, hitting the wrong side of 30. I don't think he's got top 10 left for him. But again, just missing out. I think he's on the wrong side of 30. I like some of the other guys a lot more. And then my last guy, I'm taking my Eagles hat off. I'm putting A.J. Brown right there. Honorable mentions. Another guy that just missing it. Could he be top 10 next year? Easily. Definitely. But again, 1,000-yard receiver, game breaker with the ball in his hand, but not really going to be a great fit for him in Jalen Hurts' run-centric offense. I don't think the volume's going to be there for him to get that 1,500 yards, 10 touchdowns. But could he be top 10 next year? Definitely.
Interesting first couple. I'll start out with this. I definitely agree with you 100% on CeeDee Lamb. I have him as my first honorable mention, actually. And if we were polling, like, who do we think would be on that's not on our list this year will be on our list next year, I put all my money in CeeDee Lamb. I really, really like CeeDee Lamb. I think he's going to go great with Cooper gone because he's going to play outside more, where he started the career kind of in the spot. Yeah. Hopkins, I got to be honest, I had him in number 2 last year. He's fallen the most on my list from last year, but I still have him in the top 10. I think you're talking pure talent. Yeah. He's still easily a top 10 wide receiver. There's a lot of competition. This is probably the best position with young talent in the NFL, but I'm not going to let half a season and then a PED suspension forget how good DeAndre Hopkins is. I still think he's going to go out there and pretty incredible. I think he's going to be a nice pairing with Marquise Brown. Well, let me see this offense now with Brown, him and Kyler whenever he comes around. But yeah, injury and PED suspension isn't a great symbol for success.
Also 30. Is it a great number you want to hear when you're talking about receivers? You want to hit 30? Fine. Like running backs is like 27, 28. Receivers is 30.
I'm not too worried. 30, he'll survive at 30. I think he's got a couple more years in him. The guy's got arguably the best hands in the NFL. Those don't go away with age. His athleticism might disappear, but his hands are still going to be money. I still think give me him if I just need a guy to go get the ball. But I do agree with you. I mean, he's my biggest drop from last year. My last honorable mention, and I will say I will give you no argument on A.J. Brown because my homer came in on this one. I was splitting hairs between him and my number 11 guy being Metcalf. So I got DK Metcalf at number 11. No argument here. I mean, I'll give you my little preview at my number 10. I was splitting hairs, and the fact that I actually had a Philadelphia Eagle, this is probably the one position group we've been doing for the last 3 years that the Eagles have never had a chance to even be mentioned in this conversation. So I gave the nod to the hometown guy instead of Metcalf. But Metcalf's right there. I don't like his future now that Russell Wilson's gone. I mean, the guy never misses a game. That's definitely in his favor. But outside of this, his years are kind of inconsistent. He had the big year, the second year in the league, but last year and the first year were kind of back to earth. They weren't the Pro Bowl All-Pro level we saw the second year. And without Russell, I think that's more concerning of an outlook than a knee sprain and a steroid suspension.
Well, it's different that it's not Russell Wilson's out there. Geno Smith's under center. I mean, you drive in a Ferrari the rest of your entire life, and all of a sudden they hand you like a 1978 Honda Civic. DK Metcalf has hardly impressed anyone with his route running, and it better be pretty good now because he's going to have to be pretty open for Geno Smith and Drew Lock to hit him. And they're definitely not getting it 50 yards downfield like Russell was. We'll see.
Fair.
We'll see.
Fair.
I think I had him on my list last year, but he's off this year.
Yeah, I'm surprised by that because you gave me a ton of shit when I put DK Metcalf in my honorable mentions last year, and now you're kind of rewinding a little bit here because what did I say? Oh, route running's a little meh. He's kind of like big player bust sometimes. So
okay, wait,
I'm glad you're learning from me.
Let's go back. You were talking about taking him off his best season ever. 1,300 yards, like 9 touchdowns, and you didn't have him. He had a much worse season this year and lost his quarterback.
Tunnel vision.
Yeah, tunnel vision, my ass. Yeah, right.
So, DK Metcalf is one of my honorable mentions. I actually had quite a lot because I wanted to at least mention these guys, but CeeDee Lamb, DJ Moore of the Panthers. I mean, if that guy had a fucking quarterback, maybe he'd be in the top 10, but he definitely has the talent. I think Mike Williams of the Chargers is pretty slept on still. Scary Terry, I had him penciled in, and then I had to take him out because I almost took D-Hop off my list, and I said, that's disrespectful. Put him back on.
I'm surprised. Yeah.
But this is the one, and I didn't hear either of you guys mention him, so I'm assuming you both have him on your list. And this is a player that wants out of his team. He wants to be traded. His quarterbacks are pretty iffy.
God.
And, he's not really even a receiver. He's kind of like a running back also.
No
and,
way.
So Debo Samuel coming in at number 11.
That's really bad.
Can I first say, what is this? 6 honorable mentions? What are you giving out participation trophies? You just give everyone a shout out? You're very on brand for you. You don't give DK Metcalf any recognition after his career year, so might as well knock down Debo Samuel after his career year.
What do I always say? I mean, unless you are like, and I'll make a case for somebody else, but unless you're just blow me away, then I need more than a year. And Debo did a lot of great things, but it wasn't always specifically as a receiver. He was just an all-around phenomenon. If this was like top 10 skill players, I'd put him on the list. But we're talking receivers specifically, it's a little more you could be doing. So
that's a dumb argument.
He had 1,400. He had 1,400 receiving yards.
Yeah, but
does that matter? I mean, no.
Oh yeah, I mean the receiving aspect of catching a football and running is pretty big for receivers.
It was Debo or D-Hop, and I went D-Hop. So yeah.
I mean, listen,
Debo a lot higher than you guys. It seems like.
Well, I have him in my top 10 because I'm not foolish.
Speaking of
someone that doesn't,
Josh, let's crack it open.
Receiver, yeah.
Top 10.
Crack it open.
All right, so top 10, I have Deontay Johnson, the Steelers.
What?
Oh, stop with this.
let me. Cheers to that. Mean? That's outrageous.
What do you mean, Deontay Johnson? Hold on.
Yeah, hold on.
He was playing with the dead corpse of Ben Roethlisberger last year, who couldn't throw the ball at 12 yards. And what did he do? He had 1,100 yards. He had 8 touchdowns. And his ADOT was only 8.5 because Ben can't throw the ball. His yak was great. Yards after catch was 4.5. The dude catches the ball, he makes plays. Did he drop some balls his first or second year? Yeah, but last year he cut his drops down in half. And again, he's playing with Ben Roethlisberger, and he still had a great year.
Yeah, now who is his quarterback now? Mitch Trubisky?
Mitch Trubisky, but I like Kenny Pickett. Don't sleep on Kenny Pickett.
As a rookie, though, I don't think and they already have what's his name? Number 11.
At least both those guys could throw the ball 15 yards downfield. You know how many balls that Deontay Johnson was running down the field and had to stop for the ball to get to him?
I mean, he'll get more targets now that Juju's gone, but
I mean, it'll even out from
all
the ones he dropped.
Targets. I'm looking at the quality of the targets. Instead of like a 5-yard crossing route. This guy's that can run downfield and kind of take advantage of his route tree a little more.
I don't know. I feel like he's just going to be kind of that deep threat because I feel like they're just going to run through Najee Harris. And they have, Fryermuth is a really good tight end. Claypool is going to be their main target. So I don't know.
I don't think. I mean, Claypool was terrible last year.
Yeah,
compared to Deontay Johnson.
Yeah, but I mean, he's still their number one. I think Deontay Johnson's a good receiver. I think I had him on one of my fantasy teams, but I'd put him more like top 16. Not.
He's going to surprise you.
Okay. I'm not putting any money really on good. It, but you go ahead. Call Vegas.
I'm telling you,
he's definitely on the up and up, but I don't think he's there yet. Yeah, he's improved every year. He's had some spotty type, but I don't know. There's so many.
But I don't know how you put.
I mean, Ben was.
I don't know how you put him over D-Hop. That's a little interesting.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think going forward, I think he's got a lot more kind of potential to grow into an elite receiver rather than D-Hop, who again is coming off a PED suspension and a down year. I don't know how you can see him coming back to elite production.
Okay.
He's got the talent. Deontay Johnson. I mean, you would talk about a guy with no hands and the other one that catches everything that comes near him. I think I hear the argument for Deontay Johnson. Maybe next
didn't drop too many balls last year.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the first thing I think of. Name association is dropping footballs, and when you're a wide receiver, that's a problem. I think. I mean, here's the thing with Deontay Johnson. I think he's on the rise. I think he's getting better. I think he's a good young player. But like the system, the lack of quarterback, I don't like those going forward. And I see him more of like a upside kind of guy in the top 10. There's too many good young wide receivers for me to put him over them. Like I would have easily had him over AJ Brown. Easily.
Yeah.
No, he's a better receiver than AJ Brown. AJ Brown also misses 5 games a year because of his knee problems.
I don't know about that.
I mean, look at he hasn't played 16. Or he hasn't played 17 games or 16 games yet.
Yeah, but I mean, listen, Deontay Johnson missed a couple games. He only played like 13, I think, 2 years ago.
No. He just comes out and comes back in. It's fine.
Oh yeah, that's great. That's what I want.
Misses the rest of the second half. He plays the next week. It's good.
So basically, he's just Jason Peters, but at the wide receiver form.
I mean, Jason Peters is elite.
Yeah,
he was elite.
yeah, I hear you. I mean, I don't think it's atrocious. I think he's on that border of being recognized maybe in the 10. I definitely wouldn't have had him 10. Definitely wouldn't have him over DeAndre Hopkins. I think you're overemphasizing his decline here.
I just browsed. I just browsed through PFF's top 30, and he's not even in.
Again, you can't fault him for Big Ben just being awful. Did you watch like him play? He was just doing ridiculous shit, throwing 5-yard outs and crossing routes and throwing to Najee Harris 20 times a game.
I mean, I would still take DJ Moore or Scary Terry over him, but
I wouldn't.
Okay. He's definitely an upside guy. He needs to get a little better, and I don't like to system that much. I definitely think Najee Harris is the focal point going forward. But
Tim and I agree. This is not good.
What is the Steelers always had the last 10 years? An elite receiver.
And Ben Roethlisberger, but now they don't have Ben Roethlisberger anymore, or an elite receiver. So here you go. Look at that, go hand in hand.
Well, only time will tell on that one.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Tim, who you got?
I'm going to run in because obviously I previewed this guy already a little bit. I'm going to go specifically at a point that Josh mentioned. Sure, I mean, Ryan Tannel I hardly think is a superstar. Maybe he's a little – I'll agree with you. I think he's a little better than where Jalen Hurts is now. But you're talking about a guy that was extremely successful in a run-first offense. Honestly, probably had his worst year last year. Mostly, I would say, because Derrick Henry got hurt and the offense became one-dimensional with one player. He's going into another run-first offense. He's going to be the number one guy. And I'm going to say this. I think Devonte Smith is the best wide receiver to play across the A.J. Brown for his entire career so far. You had a hobbled Julio Jones, who I told you last year was going to be a bum.
Barely.
Yeah.
And then I can't name a single wide receiver besides that for the Titans. So I think he's going to be even better this year. I think he's going to be a true number one. I think he's going to have the opportunity to be the focal point of an offense, but in a run-first system, I think will help him as well, like it did in Tennessee. I think the guy's a stud. I like his projection. I think he's going to be very good with the Eagles. I like the offense, how it's coming along. And you know what? He's an Eagle. So my hometown vibe pushed him over DK because he was splitting hairs between him and Metcalf. I think they'll be splitting hairs their whole career, but this is the first time I can say the Eagles have a top 10 wide receiver in about 10 years. So
doesn't that feel good to say? Doesn't that feel
Oh
good
yeah,
to
that's
say?
why I took the chance. There was no way he wasn't making the top 10. I don't care how hard of the argument I had to make.
I couldn't do it.
Just wait.
Fair
When him
enough.
and Dante Smith are just killing every cornerback they go against.
Oh, I hope so.
I mean, when they're going to run the ball 40 times a game, I don't think they're just going to pass the ball.
No, I
Hey, man,
think they're going to
Tennessee
go
did
back
that, and he looks
to
pretty
passing
good.
more.
Hey, even to do it.
I mean, that schedule doesn't scream I'm going to air it out.
That's true.
Definitely doesn't
right.
scream we're going to get stopped, though. It's going to be an easy schedule, I think. Not many defenses.
That's for damn sure.
Yeah, so take advantage of that.
Yeah. So this guy, I've left off my list last year. But I told him, he was right there at 11. He's probably a Hall of Famer, consistent player. And, I looked back and I was like, he's had 1,000-yard seasons. I think it's the record, most 1,000-yard seasons in a row for a receiver. So number 10, I got Mike Evans making my list.
He's on my list.
He's great. I mean, the product of consistency. I think he does a lot of things well. It's just he goes up and gets it. He's a touchdown machine. I just think sometimes he can be shut down. You've seen like Marshawn Lattimore shuts him down fairly frequently. And he's had injuries here and there throughout the years. So I know Tim's smoldering over there because he loves Mike Evans, but
I can't understand. We've been
10.
doing this for 3 years, and you're still just disrespecting him. And I prove you wrong every single time. Like even
look, he had 14 touchdowns
guy,
last year, but he only had 74 catches. Just over 1,000 yards, which was 21st in the NFL. So
Yeah, but what he does really well is, again,
he's a red zone monster.
27 touchdowns in the last 27 touchdowns last year.
Yeah, he's a red zone beast.
1,000 yards every year of his career. Consistency, elite touchdown production. He's at number 8 for me, actually. He's
spoilers.
I mean, his model of consistency and his historic, 1,000-yard seasons. And it's because at the beginning of his career, he didn't score that many touchdowns, like 7, 8 range, and then all of a sudden Brady gets there, and it's 13, it's 14, it's again, he's a monster. And then with Godwin not there for the first few weeks, I feel like he could really ball out.
I mean, I had Mike Evans at 8.
I'm glad we brought you on.
The first year we did it, so.
Yeah, but for some reason he's going down, but yet he's the model of consistency. But again, you talk about
he went 8 to 11 to 10. He's still he's within that, the range.
But the fact that he fell off is just insane. Like, the guy's been the model of consistency. Like, how does he go down? He's missed 7 games in his entire 7-year career. You talking out your ass again. And Goldberg, not to give a sneak peek, but we're on the same thinking because I do have him at number 8 too, but I'll save it. But most of the stuff I was going to say you kind of hit on, but we'll let it go. We'll let it go because here's Dakota riling me up, pulling out one of the cards that just knows that I'm always at bat too because it's easy. The guy just consistently puts it out. It's a
preference, and you know exactly who I have right above him too. So,
should we go to 9?
Yeah,
we can go to 9, but I just want to throw this out here. We heard the first argument about how Debo Samuel didn't make the top 10 because he only did it 1 year, and now we have to hear Mike Evans at 10 because even though he has been the model of a veteran, consistent wide receiver, somehow he can't be ranked high. It's just there's no thinking, there is no correlation. It's just a wave, just nonsense.
I kept my 8 to 10 is pretty identical to last year. So
well, just like copy and paste. But go ahead, Goldberg.
Copy and paste.
So speaking of the model of consistency, number 9, Keenan Allen. The man is consistent. Over the last 5 years, he's averaged 1,200 yards, goes over 100 catches every year. The dude is a route tactician out there, just cuts up people on the inside, throw them on the outside. He's also really good. I mean, you talk about the ideal situation being the number 1 for Justin Herbert is pretty awesome because they're going to air the shit out of the ball and the dude's just going to ball out. I can see his touchdowns probably maybe going up a little bit. He's not a huge red zone guy because he's not the tallest guy in the world. But again, he scores 8 touchdowns a year, gets over 1,200 yards, gets over 100 catches. What else do you really want out of your slot receiver? Absolutely nothing.
I have nothing against Keenan Allen. I had him on my list last year. He didn't make it this year.
What?
But my biggest
what? He was great last year.
My biggest confusion here is
had more receiving yards than Mike Evans, but go ahead.
But here's my other argument. Like, he's 30 years old, which was the reason DeAndre Hopkins didn't make the top 10. You want to talk about injuries? DeAndre Hopkins played almost every game of his career up until this season. Keenan Allen has had many seasons where he's been injured. I don't. If I'm more,
no, I just told you he had 5 straight years. No, he had 5 straight years of 1,200 yards.
Sure, but he also had a season early in his career where he played 8 games. He almost missed the entire year in 2016. DeAndre Hopkins.
Oh, he tore his ACL and he ruptured his spleen.
This is the first season that DeAndre Hopkins has ever played less than 15 games in a season. I don't see where they correlate. And you want to talk about who's the better wide receiver?
When he played, he still wasn't great. Oh,
man. I don't know.
I mean, look at Keenan Allen. He was fantastic this year.
Listen, they're both 30.
And he's not guaranteed to miss 8 games this year.
That's true.
Tim, I'm gonna leapfrog you because I also had Keenan Allen at number 9.
Did you? Okay, so, fair enough.
So Mike Evans has got 4 Pro Bowls, and they've been his yards are consistent every year, but the Pro Bowls are some years he makes it, some years he's not. Keenan Allen's made it 4 or 5 straight years he's been in the Pro Bowl. Like Josh was saying, also a mild consistency. Those two to me are, you could flip them either way because they're both been just stalwarts in the league the last, however. I think Mike Evans has a year or 1 more season than Keenan Allen, but they've both been phenomenal players throughout their careers, and I think Keenan Allen still gets disrespected, and he's played with some pretty good quarterbacks, but he had Phillip Rivers for most of his career, and now he's really helping Herbert look really good already. But I've always liked Keenan Allen. I always think he's been really, really good. So, and I think he just has a little more skill than Mike Evans when it comes to beating one-on-ones. But I'll give Mike Evans a nod for being a red zone target and stuff like that. But yeah, they're both phenomenal.
I think that's the knock on Keenan Allen is that he just doesn't score touchdowns, but that's just not his game.
He's still had over
between the 20s. He's probably
100 plus receptions, over 1,000 yards. He had 6 touchdowns, but he helps open it up for Mike Williams, who runs Hail Marys every play and catches those touchdowns. So,
Hey, play good. I mean, listen, I'm not going to slander Keenan Allen too much because I really had no reason to take him off, except I just think other players were better.
That's all.
Well, no. I am going to end my argument here, though. You brought up Mike Evans and Keenan Allen's last 4-year comparison when Keenan Allen went to the Pro Bowl. Whoa, that was awesome. They played Madden the 1 year. That must have been a real accomplishment. But those last 4 years when Keenan Allen was in the Pro Bowl, Mike Evans scored more touchdowns every season, and he had more yards combined the last 4 years than Keenan Allen. So, I don't know. Pick your veteran. I would be going with Mike Evans. But, hey, we'll leave it alone. Because I really have nothing against Keenan Allen. I just like the other younger guys on my list.
Yeah, because Jameis Winston was just chucking, 50-50 balls for 5 years. Mike Williams was just all right, this is going to be my career.
That's someone's got to catch him. Very impressive.
Who's your 9?
We'll move it. My 9, I'll be in the middle here. I already knew coming into this, Josh was going to have him a lot higher than I did. I'm shocked that you didn't have him in your top 10 at all, Dakota. But I'm going to go with number 9. I went with Debo Samuel for the Niners.
I told you it was between him and D-Hop, so I had him in at one point, but I took him out.
Yeah. I'll listen to the ridiculous argument you made about, he's not really a wide receiver when he had 1,400 receiving yards and led the league in yards per game receiving or whatever. But he did do it 1 year. I do think when you talk about one player that benefits the most from his team and his offense and the coaching around him, I think it's Debo Samuel, which always surprised me by the trade request because I think he's in the perfect environment for his skill set. And I think Kyle Shanahan's brought out the best in Debo Samuel. I don't think he's going to go anywhere. I don't think they're going to get rid of him. They probably get a contract extension done. But, I mean, if you take away the running game aspect of his game, which I think it makes him more impressive what he does, and he's just a beast when it comes to yards after catch, I think he would fall back in my rankings a little bit because I think it's an add-on. I think it's a plus, not a detriment like you punish him for. But I think right now what it comes down to is there's too many good elite wide receivers for him to move up higher. He did do it only 1 year, and pretty much everyone in front of him has been doing it for a little bit longer, or the 1 year they've done it, which is more impressive. So I went with Debo at 9.
Oh, it's weird, Tim, because last year, I think it was November, I was Debo is probably a top 10 receiver this year, and you and Bill were definitely not. Fuck that, he's not even close. And then The dude just kept on doing it all year, and now he's in your top 10 list.
Hey.
That's so weird.
You can't.
Funny how these work.
You can't hit on all of them. I'm still sticking to my merits that I didn't have Julio last year, and that just made me look like a genius. The reason that Bill's not on this year is because he foolishly had like Julio top 3. Dakota has to be on here, but this is why we need a replacement. After that horrific performance, and tell me Julio Jones is still a top 3 wide receiver.
Shut up.
But hey, let's roll into number 9.
That was number 9, so you're clearly paying attention.
Okay, number 8 and 7 were really difficult for me to like kind of go with. So I went with Stephon Diggs.
Okay.
So Diggs is an elite route runner. He's a really good receiver. He got much better when he went to go play with Josh Allen and left Adam Thielen. But he kind of took a step back from the year before. Like he had like 1,500 yards the year before. He had 8 touchdowns. The touchdowns went up this year. The receiving yards came back. But with Stephon Diggs, like he's an alpha. He's great. He had 1,200 yards. Pencil in there. But I think the reason I went with Debo over Stephon Diggs is he kind of affects the game a lot more with his legs and with the ball in his hands. He had a better year this year. Not to say that Debo's going to get hurt and like he was early in his career, but if they're both healthy, I'd rather have Debo Samuel as a receiver on my team, just again because he affects the scheme a lot more and he's just a better player with the ball in his hands.
I'm like really curious to see how your top 5 works out because I'm shocked that you have Diggs this low. I mean, the guy's been nothing but elite since he showed up in Buffalo. You're gonna, he didn't put up 1,500 yards, but he was like 1,200, 10 touchdowns, 100 receptions. Like that is the number 1 elite wide receiver year. After following up an incredible season the year before. Ever since he's got to Buffalo, he's been absolute money.
Yep.
I mean, he was there for 2 years. He had 1,500 yards and then 1,200 yards. But before that, he never had over 1,200 yards.
Yeah, I know. Were you going to punish the guy for what he did 3 years?
Numbers.
I'm talking about the last 2 seasons.
I mean, again, let's bring it back to Deontay Johnson. He had 1,100 yards. You said that wasn't that good. Now Stephon Diggs was elite production with 1,100 yards. Well, give me a break.
It was 1,200 yards, and he had 1,500 yards the year before. So, yeah, if Deontay Johnson had 1,500 yards before, I'd listen to it more.
We'll see. Early in his career, you said Stephon Diggs has given you elite production for his entire career. It's been 2 years of elite production.
Well, all right, listen. From his Buffalo Bills career, I should say. His Buffalo Bills career has been elite number 1 wide receiver. And, I mean, are you punishing him?
So he's had 2 elite years. Debo's had 1.
I mean, my math checks out as 2 is bigger than 1. I don't know what calculator you're using. But...
Just wait till this year.
Wait,
well, then Stephon Diggs will have 3. And Debo
And Debo's best year was better than Stephon Diggs' best year. Debo had 1,700 yards. Had 14 touchdowns.
Not bad.
It's fine. We'll let it go.
I mean, he had 8 rushing touchdowns.
Not bad.
It's not bad at all. Not bad. But I still think
so Debo's best year is better than Stephon Diggs' best year, but Stephon Diggs is better.
Well, no. It's
interesting.
It's not just the Debo argument. You have 7 people, 7 wide receivers ahead of Stephon Diggs. That is surprising to me.
Oh, I am very confident in the receivers in front of Stephon Diggs.
Fair enough. All right, we'll see.
I swear, if I hear Jalen Waddle, though,
No.
My number 8. I'm gonna go with the pinnacle of consistent. Just somehow put up, I think it was like 14 touchdowns this year. The guy just gets touchdowns. I know, he had 13 last year, 14 this year. You were saying it's not Keenan Allen's game, but hey, whoever's game is to get touchdowns, it's a pretty good game to have, and that's the game Mike Evans has. The guy does it with Jameis Winston, Tom Brady. It doesn't really matter the scheme. So I'm going with Mr. Consistent. Number 8, we're going Mike Evans.
Okay.
There is no knock against Mike Evans. The guy comes in, does everything you need of. Doesn't matter the system. Pure money every single year. So, there you go.
Okay.
No argument there.
There you go.
I had him 9. He's very good.
I gotta say, it took me 3 years, but I finally got crickets when I'm over here praising Mike Evans. Every other year was ridicule and bringing me down.
I mean, it wasn't that bad.
On to number 8 there. Yeah, biting your tongue.
So my number 8 is I actually had this guy at number 8 last year, and I was like, fitting. I will keep him here. I think he's going to have a great year. And like Tim and I were already kind of discussing, it feels really good to be able to say that there's a Philadelphia Eagle in the top 10 wide receivers. So number 8, I have Mr. A.J. Brown.
Okay.
I think,
That's crazy.
Here's the thing. he's not going to get as much targets as he did in Tennessee. Because in Tennessee, if the ball was going to Derrick Henry, they were throwing to A.J. Brown. So now, we have, Miles Sanders coming out of the backfield. You have Devonte Smith. You have Quez Watkins running deep. You got Dallas Goedert. So, and then, Boston Scott and all the other running backs that go out for passes. So his volume is going to be lower, and I think that'll help keep him healthier. And he missed 4 games last year, and he still had almost 900 yards. So he's always on pace for that 1,000-yard season, and this will be his 4th year in the league. So he's still super young. He's only going to get better. Jalen Hurts, a little bit of question mark, but I'm on the upside. I hope he's going to do well. But we'll see. I think him and Devontae are going to be a nice little duo, complement each other really well. And I kept A.J. Brown right where I had him last year. I think he's going to have a great year.
So you put A.J. Brown over Debo
Correct.
Samuel. What does A.J. Brown do better than Debo Samuel?
I think he's just a better pure wide receiver. He's bigger. He's stronger.
I mean, he had Debo had 1,400 yards this year. A.J. Brown's never done that.
What other receivers do the Niners have?
They have Brandon Ayuk. They have George Kittle.
George Kittle is used more for blocking than anything else nowadays.
He's had like a 1,300-yard season, George Kittle.
I said Debo's at 11. I think he's a phenomenal athlete, great player. But if you told me I had a one-on-one cornerback versus a wide receiver who's going to win, I'm throwing to A.J. Brown over Debo Samuel. Like, that's just.
I don't think I would.
I won't give any slander because he's an Eagle, but he's a little higher than I have him. I go up to I still not to hold it against him, but Debo I do think is in the perfect situation. I don't think he would succeed like he does without Kyle Shanahan. I think he's incredible.
I also don't think Debo.
Top 10.
I also don't think Debo's going to get that much volume again. There's no way he's going to have those numbers again. I think it'd be close.
Listen,
I don't know how he would.
If he's coming out of the backfield, he probably will.
If you take his rushing away, he's still an elite receiver.
Yeah, I think
if you take his rushing away, he's still an elite receiver.
Oh no, he's definitely an elite receiver. He's definitely a top 10 receiver. I'm not disagreeing with that. But hey,
I'm just saying, if I had A.J. Brown 8 last year and he's in a better situation, he's going to be healthy. Why would I knock him for someone who had one really good year? You know what I mean? So,
hey,
better year, but yeah,
I'm not going to slander.
Teach their own.
I'm not going to slander. I'm going
Who's you got
not going to slander a Philadelphia Eagle, but A.J. Brown is coming off his work.
I have Debo, so you can just skip
Debo
me.
at 7? I figured he was going to be like...
Yeah, okay. I'll
I thought he was going to be number 3 the way you were gassing him up.
Okay. No, I have Debo. I'll get into it. Okay, Debo this year had 768 yards after the catch. Unbelievable. He also had almost 400 yards rushing. So the ball in his hands, he's probably the best, at least the best receiver in the league, probably one of the best players in the league with the ball in his hands. Going to just receiving, he had 1,405 receiving yards. Not bad. He had 14 total touchdowns. 6 of them receiving, again, not bad. He also had 77 catches. So he had almost about 80 catches for 1,400 yards. That's pretty elite production, I would say, out of a receiver. And you tack on what he does out of the backfield, and he is the premier Swiss Army knife in the entire NFL.
I won't argue against that.
I know. I got to be honest with you. I thought you were going to have him like top 3, so I was saving myself.
So did I.
No.
At 7, I have 0 issue. I think Debo, from when I was doing the rankings, I had him like 7 to 10. That was my area for him. So I have no issues with him at 7. You could have sold me on him from 7 to 10. I have him at 9. I think he's very good. I'm not, getting into this. Oh, he's a running back. He's a wide receiver. He's a fullback. He's a this, that.
I had him at 11. He's not even far off.
He's definitely
thrown him in. Just sub out Mike Evans.
Yeah. Well, hey,
Oh, he also had 6.2 yards per attempt on the ground. That's pretty elite as well.
Yeah, no, he's definitely an elite wide receiver, without a doubt. Definitely top 10. But hey, we'll move into, I have a number 7. I have number 7, another one we've talked a lot about, which I'm actually excited because I think we've cleared the air of all of our controversial ones after I build my number 7. So number 7, I went with DeAndre Hopkins.
God damn it.
Oh my God.
I also had D-Hop at number 7.
Did you? Wow.
Jesus Christ.
Listen.
It's like you didn't have a bad year. You guys are going to kick Ferrell where he was.
I don't, your argument about him in 30, you completely ignored when Keenan Allen came around. The guy has been the pinnacle.
They're way different receivers.
What, DeAndre Hopkins, the guy who never misses games and has been pinnacle of consistency up until this year?
I mean, he's going to miss 8 this year.
That's true.
Because of PEDs.
That's true, but
it's not a good look.
It's not a good look. Hey, listen, is he going to be a role model to children? Probably not. Is he going to be catching a whole bunch of touchdowns and balls when he comes back and Marquise Brown's on the other side? Probably. Yeah. You're talking about an elite wide receiver. He was arguably the best wide receiver in the league up until last season. He was my number 2. I dropped him 5 spots, which I think is respectable because he's coming off a bad year. And
he was also my number 2 last year.
But, I mean, look at the situation. He's going in. He's going to have Kyler again. He's going to have Marquise Brown playing across him, who's probably the best wide receiver he's ever had on the other side. I like Kingsbury as an offensive coach. I think they're going to be fine. I mean, when he comes back, listen, the suspension is not a good look, but it takes away any injury doubt I have. He's going to miss 8 games. He's going to be 100% healthy when he comes back. He's elite wide receiver at his peak. -1 injury. He's been the model of consistency and health. So, yeah, the suspension's a bad look. I mean, season outlook at the end of the year, probably not great, but when he comes back, I wouldn't be surprised if he's just as good as he was before the season.
Well, he'll have a long layoff, so I hope he comes back fresh.
Oh, I think he'll be fine. I think he'll be okay. I'm talking about as you mentioned, a 30-year-old wide receiver. He's done this. He's been there. He's a pro. He'll be okay.
Yeah, I dropped him from 2 to 7 as well as Tim. I mean, he played in 10 games last year, and he still had 8 touchdowns. Like, he's a monster. And the thing with him is, like, he'll have those games where he's kind of, like, quiet. But then, the one thing about top 10 players is that you got to say, like, what can they do at any given moment? And, like, no disrespect to Deontay Johnson, but I don't see him just breaking out for 200-plus yards in any game. Like, D-Hop could do that any game against any defensive player. Like, that's the thing with D-Hop. He's just an elite talent. So I thought about taking him out just because of the injuries and the suspension, but he's just too talented. He was one of the top 10 receivers of the decade, honestly. Like, it's not even a question. So
definitely.
To be fair,
but we saw how fast it can fall. Look at Julio Jones last year. He was
couldn't stay healthy.
Not even top 100.
Well, yeah, but I mean, we'll see. I still think DeAndre Hopkins will be fine. I will say, like, he was elite wide receiver for a while. Where I think my elite tier this year is 1 through 6, and he's just at it. The next 6 guys I have just as their tier by themselves. They were tough.
I agree.
Hopkins was my wild card, but this next 6, you could really argue in any order for me.
Well, it sounds like 1 to 6, Tim and I have the same players, but then Josh has a wild card somewhere in there. So,
do you think so?
I mean, you already said
I have Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, you already said Stephon Diggs.
Oh, yeah. I guess I might have a mystery player in here. Let's wonder who it's going to be.
Right.
You know what? I have an idea who it is, and I want to hear this play out.
Okay.
Is it Riley Cooper?
Number 6?
Go ahead with number 6. Yeah.
I have Jamar Chase at number 6.
I also have Jamar Chase.
You know what? Oh, look at that clean sweep. I also have Jamar Chase at number 6.
Okay. I like it.
Hey, guess first.
All right. So Jamar Chase, obviously a historic rookie season, broke the rookie receiving record, and also 13 touchdowns. Crazy average depth of target of 12.6, 651 yards after the catch, which is amazing. He did have 11 drops, which those were advertised that he would drop the football. Those were a lot. I mean, he's a deep threat. He's a home run hitter. He's Burrow's number 1 guy. He's going to be an elite receiver. Probably, if he's not top 3 next year, I'll be very surprised.
Yeah, I agree with you. He was my favorite player coming out of the draft with last year. He was my only hesitation about the Eagles trading out of that top 6 pick when they moved back for the Devonte Smith pick. It's amazing. We saw Justin Jefferson put on a rookie season that was just beyond incredible. And then Jamar Chase just came in and just completely washed the memory of Jefferson's rookie season out of our heads. All the way to a Super Bowl. I mean, you hit it on the head. He was probably the best deep threat wide receiver last year, maybe besides Hill. The highlights you would see of him just go up and get it is incredible. One of my favorite stats I have, Josh mentioned most of it, but his incredible rookie season, he obviously broke pretty much all of Jefferson's records. He had 6 more touchdowns, but had 7 less receptions than Jefferson. 6 more touchdowns, 7 less receptions. It's the guy's money. He's just all around elite. Arguably, I mean, he missed the year because of COVID, but I think he's probably the best wide receiver prospect we see come out since Julio, arguably. I mean, I don't think anyone had any doubt that this guy was going to be awesome as soon as he walked in the league.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much second all. Like, I'll own up to my mistake of last year, leaving Justin Jefferson off for his phenomenal season.
I completely forgot about that. That was just erratic in itself. But
Yeah,
I'm glad you
I might have had a couple couple too many beers, it's okay. But no, Jamar. I mean, I think what was super special about Jamar though is like he was nobody really knew where he was going to get drafted because everyone was like, oh, the Bengals should take linemen, whatever. And then they took him, said let's pair him with his college quarterback, and then his preseason was like kind of iffy. He was dropping a ton of balls, wasn't really getting into the groove of things, and then season started, and he just took off. Like Josh was saying, like how many touchdowns he was scoring, and like he was honestly unstoppable. And every Sunday you would see a highlight reel of Jamar Chase doing something wild. So I could not possibly leave him off the list this time. Usually I don't do one year only rookies sensations, but I don't think he was just a sensation. I think he's going to be a consistently top 10 receiver in this league for a while. So yeah, I had to put him in at number 6 there.
Before we,
I mean, he's just.
Go ahead.
As far as like rookie receivers go, I mean, again, we said Justin Jefferson was amazing. Jamar Chase came out and just kind of again made you forget about how good Justin Jefferson was, and he came out and the 13 touchdowns is what kind of stood out. You watch his touchdowns and he's burning guys. He's racking up yards after the catch. That one play, I forget, it looked like he got tackled. He spun out of it and ran for like 70 yards.
Oh, yeah.
Might have been against the Ravens, I think. It was unreal.
Yeah, he's going against, really, he's going against the Bengals, Denzel Ward. He's going against, strong Pittsburgh defense. And he's still racking up yards, burning elite-level talent again on defense. Like, he was borderline unstoppable. So...
Yeah, no, it's he was. I mean, all the way to the Super Bowl too. I mean, it's incredible what that offense.
Oh, they wouldn't have made it there without him.
Can I? Before we get into top 5, can I just highlight a very important point that you not only had Julio Jones top 3 last year, but you had Justin Jefferson off your top 10 completely. If it wasn't, half your show, there's no way in hell we were bringing you back for a wide receiver episode. Your wide receiver knowledge needs to be checked. Just so I'm glad you.
Well, I think I fucked up. I think I fucked up.
I knew you were missing stuff in here.
We'll find out later, actually.
You know what?
We'll find out later.
You know, when we were looking, I was like, this top 6 is going to be off. I was like, who is this wild card?
Yeah.
And I was like, where is this coming in?
I think I just messed up my
count. I told you it was Hunter
somehow.
Renfrow.
Can I?
I might have to debate Hunter Renfrow.
You're something else.
Oh, jeez.
Well, here we'll let you scribble.
All right.
Yeah, let's top 5.
Okay. Well, we can scramble. Okay, 11 was I had as CD Lamb. Just for
Sure.
I guess 10 was CD Lamb. We'll go there.
Okay. Everyone got bumped up.
So number 5, you have Jamar Chase then. All right. So then
Jamar
Tim,
Chase.
who do you have at number 5?
I have. So actually, guy, we were just talking about, and you know what? We did talk about how Jamar Chase kind of made us forget about how good his rookie season was. But then he followed it up. I mean, when you talk about he's the only player ever in NFL history to have 3,000 yards in the first 2 seasons to start a career ever. He's tied for the most receptions in the first 2 seasons to start a career ever. You're talking about 196, which is insane. Guy was second-team All-Pro this year. I think he put to bed all this, maybe it was a one-year fluke like Dakota wanted to make the argument last year for. So I can't wait till you have to talk your ass out of this one. But I mean, a guy that is just skyrocketing this list and has been, you can't think of a better 2 years to start your career. But I'm going with Justin Jefferson at number 5.
Okay. I actually also had him a smidge higher.
I mean, he's great. Like, he's one of those players like Jamar Chase that, like, he'll beat you over the field, he'll beat you deep. He'll score touchdowns. He'll rack up a shit ton of yards.
I mean, he clearly watched, our episode last year we did when I said he wasn't top 10. And he's like, oh, no, this guy's a fucking idiot. And then he went off and did it. He's like, now what? Now look, So, but yeah,
I love how you're trying to talk yourself up for not having him in the top 10. You're killing me for having him at number 5. You didn't even have him in the top 10 last year. I don't know what the hell you were watching.
So my number 5 is obviously a little lower than where you guys have him. But new team and a lot of mouths to feed, and it'll be interesting to see how he handles, the new quarterback. But I have Tyree Kill at number 5. I think I don't think his talent is a question mark at all. I'm curious how he's going to really fit into this offense. Cause I mean, you have, Jalen Waddle, They drafted Cedric Wilson. You have Mike Gesicki still. Raheem Mostert, Chase Edmonds at running back. Like, they have talent on offense, so there's going to be a lot of mouths to feed. So I'm just curious how they'll use Tyree Kill, because Tua, I love Tua, but he doesn't have a great deep ball. So it's going to be a lot of slants for Tyreek, a lot of comebacks probably. So I mean, we'll see how it goes. He's still obviously a top 5 elite talent at wide receiver, but I just brought him down a little bit. I think last year I had him at 3. Yeah, he was 3 last year. So.
Yeah, I mean, I have him again just a smidge higher, but like I think again, he's a great receiver. He's obviously electric with the ball in his hand, but I think Tua and him could kind of excel again in the middle of the field, the short, intermediate passes, jet sweeps. I think that like what he showed when the Chiefs couldn't throw the ball downfield when teams are dropping 2 deep safeties is that he is really good in space with the ball in his hands, and I think that's where they're going to use him a little more, kind of like maybe a Debo role for Mike McDaniel. So we'll see, but I think I don't think he'll be the deep threat he was in Kansas City at all. That's why he's not 1 or 2. But I think he's still. Yeah,
I think that's more of the Jalen Waddle role. I think that's a good point, though. I think he will be used more of like a Debo kind of all around the field player. So
fair enough. I still have Tyree Kill to go to. I have no arguments. I think we all come to. I mean, if Josh remembers how to count to 5 correctly, I think we all have the same top 6. Yeah. Like I said, going into, I mean,
if I did that,
Hopkins came out of my elite tier this year, but I think from 1 through 6, I'd be okay with whatever order you put them in. But this is the elite tier, the way I look at it. So rolling into it, this is actually the only difference between I think my 1 through 6 and your Josh's at least. I went with a guy. I'll admit I kind of have a personal, I like him. I went with Stephon Diggs at number 4.
Okay.
I think you got to look at his career in 2 different strands. I don't think he was a bad wide receiver at all. He's probably like a borderline top 10 if you look at his Minnesota career. And then ever since he's gotten to Buffalo, he has just become an elite number 1 wide receiver. The last season, 2 years ago, he was elite all-pro, one of the best wide receivers in the league. Sure, this year wasn't as good as that, but it's hardly a bad year. I think that the offense around him evolved. We saw more of an emergence from Gabriel Davis and, UCF's own great guy. I think that the pressure, there was more of an effort to stop Stephon Diggs, and the guy still put up 1,200 yards. I think it was like 10 touchdowns or whatever. Hardly a bad. Went over 100 yards receiving. Hardly a bad season. Ever since he's gotten to Buffalo, he's been an elite receiver. Just look at the 2 years he's been there. It's been nothing but money. These last 2 years match anyone else you want to stack him against. I still think he's going to excel incredibly. Him and Josh Allen have one of those great chemistries, which you really need to see. I mean, you're looking at my top 4. You're talking about like just great chemistry between quarterback and wide receiver, and I think that's huge. I think him and Allen have it. So I have Diggs at number 4.
I just disagree, because Stephon Diggs, again, you match him up against like Tyree Kill, and he doesn't do anything better than Tyree Kill does, and especially with the ball in his hands.
To be fair, I have Tyree Kill ranked higher than him, so you're just your argument is invalid in this situation.
Well, I just don't have anyone in this tier. I just don't think Diggs is in this tier of these guys.
I don't know where you see that. He's
like Jamar Chase is better than him. Like all of these guys are better than him.
This guy's been nothing but an elite number 1 wide receiver since he got to Buffalo. I don't.
For how long? For 2 years. Yeah, but he took a step back, and you watch the playoff games. He didn't even he barely was out there. It was Gabe Davis getting everything, and
it's because Stefan Dixon had all the attention on him.
Exactly. I think that's
4 touchdowns.
I think that's more of why he stepped back this year was that he became this number 1 option everyone tried to stop, and the offense flourished around him. And Gabe Davis is incredible. Don't put any slander on his name. The guy is UCF made.
I did. He's good.
I think honestly, it's more of a compliment when Gabriel Davis can go for like 4 touchdowns in a playoff game. The more of a compliment to Stephon Diggs because listen, the guy's going to eat. The guy's getting open. He's getting opportunities. That's a true number 1 right there. The guy makes everyone better. He put up the number 1 elite stats the first year in Buffalo. This year, he put up the other aspect of being number 1. He made everyone around him better. I think that's the way you look at it as like elite player. You can go average 30 points a game, be very good, but the next step in your game is when you make everyone else around you better. And I think that's what Steph Diggs did. I think that's more of the reason why his numbers dipped a little bit than him falling back.
I mean, I left you to kind of dry out there, Tim. I also have Stephon Diggs at number 4. So
I figured. Look at you.
Yeah, no, I all the same things you were saying. I mean, you just look at his stats; like he's improved every year, except for like you said last year. Took a step back because he was either getting double teamed or they had a safety over the top, trying to take him off. I mean, he goes from 700 yards his rookie year, 900, 900, 1,000, 1,100, and then he led the league in receptions and yards in 2020. And then last year still had 1,200 yards, 10 touchdowns. So he's a beast. I think him and Josh. The other thing is like him and Josh Allen probably have the best chemistry of any receivers on our list with their quarterback, I think. So they're always going to be able to find a way to either come back in a game or, make a completion when they need it on like fourth down or whatever. Like they just have a great sync going on. So I think that also helps his case that, that it's a shame that they lost that game to the Chiefs in the playoffs because of poor time management and coaching. But, I think Stefon Diggs is top 5 without question.
Fair enough. No arguments there. I feel very strong with him at 4.
Who did you have at 4, Josh? Because I think Tim skipped you. Okay.
Tyree Kill.
Okay.
I have Tyree Kill at 4. 12. I mean, I just think Tyree Kill again a little downgrade from where he was in the Chiefs, but I think production-wise he'll still be elite.
So go right into your
that top 3 for us.
For 3, I have Devonte Adams at 3.
Oh my god!
I know who.
Hear me out. Jeez.
I thought we were safe. I thought we fixed
his rankings. They're still wrong.
Go ahead.
Devonte Adams goes from the best spot in the league for receivers. Aaron Rodgers, most trusted number 1 receiver, and he gets a ton of targets. He's going to Derek Carr. I don't think Derek Carr is very good. I think he's a very average quarterback. And not only is he going to a worse quarterback, he's going to a lot worse situation. Because what do we know about Derek Carr? He loves Hunter Renfrow. He loves Devonte Adams, college quarterback, of course. He loves Hunter Renfrow. He loves Darren Waller. He's got 3 mouths to feed. Before, he was the no-doubt alpha receiver in his offense, getting 15 targets a game. He's not going to get that anymore. If he's lucky, he'll get 9. And with those 9 targets, will he be great? That's why I have him at 3, but he's not going to be a top 1 or 2 receiver in the league anymore. He's not going to get 1,500 yards. He's not going to get 18 touchdowns. It's not happening anymore.
I mean, you drop him from I think everyone unanimously had him at number 1 last year to 3 off of arguably his best season. The guy went for over 1,500 yards, 123 receptions, 11 touchdowns.
Of course.
Aaron Rodgers was MVP. Aaron Rodgers was the MVP. What'd you think? Is Derek Carr going to be the MVP this year?
The main argument. Listen, I'm not really a Derek Carr supporter. Dakota could tell you. I've been against Derek Carr pretty much the whole time he's been in career. But
he's not very good.
Your main argument is he loves Darren Waller and Hunter Renfrow. I think Devonte Adams was the best man at his wedding. This guy could not love anyone more than Devonte Adams. I don't know about this.
It's fine. When you get on the football field, he's got mouths to feed. He's never had that in Green Bay.
I think that'll help.
Who's the best receiver who ever played across for what?
I think that helps him.
Did anyone ever else get 100 targets in the Packers offense ever besides Devonte Adams?
Imagine Devonte Adams when he doesn't need to be double teamed every single game.
I mean, that was when Jordy Nelson was getting 100 targets. Devonte Adams wasn't.
But he's going to go from being constantly double teamed to every play in Green Bay to now he's going to have to be single covered with Darren Waller, Hunter Renfrow there. He's going to
but Aaron Rodgers isn't throwing him open.
Devonte Adams gets open. You see that guy run routes? He's like Allen Iverson off the line. He just breaks ankles.
That's fine. But Derek Carr is not going to throw the back shoulder fade in the back of the end zone that makes Devonte Adams so good.
You're telling me that
I'm a supporter of Derek Carr as an elite wide receiver, a quarterback, but I mean, you're not falling off from Aaron Rodgers to Drew Lock. I mean, it's not that big of a drop off.
He's not very good. He's very average. He's league average.
We'll see. You know what? One thing that you didn't mention, you said the situation he was going into was not good. And listen, I agree. Yeah, I'm not the biggest Derek Carr fan, so I won't argue there. I actually think that this weapons around him will help him more than it'll hurt him. The guy will now not have to be double team every year, every play of his career. But the other thing, low key, you got to look at, who did the Raiders just hire as their coach? They just brought in Josh McDaniels.
McDaniels?
Jack Daniels knows how to run.
What did he do in Denver?
Oh, my God, that was 10 years ago. What did he do with New England?
Tim Tebow.
And don't give me all Tom Brady. He looked pretty good with Mac Jones there, too. I think Josh McDaniels knows what he's doing. He's going to call a good offense. I think that's a good situation to be in. Yeah, you're losing Aaron Rodgers, but now you're not going to be double teamed every play. The guy is, I think, unquestionably the best wide receiver in football.
Is he going to get 18 targets a game again? Is he going to get 160 targets, 170 targets?
Man, you want to see how open he is when he's single covered? I mean, he went for 1,500 yards.
How is he going to get 1,600 yards and 18 touchdowns without 170 targets?
Let's say you're down from him to 1 to 3. I don't know. Your main argument is he's going from Aaron Rodgers to Derek Carr. I don't think that brings him down to 3.
That's like, again, I'm going to use the same thing. You're driving a Ferrari and now you're getting the 2005 like Honda Civic instead of 1977.
He's definitely better than a Honda Civic. I mean, yeah, he's not a Ferrari, but he's definitely better than a Honda Civic. I'd say like Tua is a Honda Civic from going Mahomes to Tua.
I mean, if that's your argument, 2016 he had 75 catches for 997 yards and 12 touchdowns. Like that's still great production.
That's when they had another receiver there.
Well, no, that was that when Aaron Rodgers got hurt?
2016. I don't remember.
I think the one.
When did he break his collar?
I want to say it was no.
Was that the year?
No, it was 2017 when the Eagles won the Super Bowl, which he had 74 receptions, 885 yards, and 10 touchdowns. Liz, I mean that's the beginning of his.
How many of those 10 touchdowns came with Rodgers?
I don't think.
I don't know.
I mean, I don't want to because I made the argument against Tyree Kill that there's more mouths to feed in Miami, but I don't think that he's still going to be the number one option though. Like Adams is still going to be the guy, and the fact that him and like Tim said, him and Carr are like best friends, played college together, were at each other's weddings or whatever. Like they're going to have a great connection. They're going to sling it. Derek Carr gets a lot of shit, but he's had some really good games. He's just a little inconsistent, but he's a good quarterback. I think he's a little more than a game manager.
I would agree with that.
Yeah. He's not a gunslinger. He's not Rodgers
nobody's
throwing the ball down the
but
field.
like,
hey, listen.
No, but like,
I don't think Devontae.
He's going to check it down. He's not going to push the ball down the field.
I still think the talent
Adams. I don't think Devontae
so.
Adams needs a guy to throw the ball down the field. Devontae Adams is money coming off the line. If he ran an offense like Michael Thomas did, he is that good of a route runner. Just let him run short slants. He's getting open every time he's quick off the line. The other thing I would say is look at the contract that man just signed. Mark Davis personally will come down to the field and throw the ball to him 20 times a game. This guy is going to get 18 targets a game. There's no way they're going to pay him this money to not get 18 targets a game. He's too important.
Mark Davis needs a helmet.
Oh, it's garbage.
Terrible
it's so bad.
Him and his brutal haircut will go down there and personally throw Devontae Adams the ball 20 times a game and make sure they're getting that money back.
I just want you guys to know, I don't think Devonte Adams is going to be bad. I just think the guys that I have, the one guy I have in front of him is going to be better than him. Or get the two guys, but you guys have the other guys well.
I have one curious argument to make when we get to one of your guys, because I think that there's a parallel to make between him and Devonte Adams' situation, but I'll save it. Going on. Okay. So crack my top 3. We'll get in, and this is, you guys both went ahead and beat me to the punch, but I went number 3, Tyree Kill.
Okay.
Got on a new team, but you know what? I will make the one argument that wasn't made, and I think Goldberg will be on my side. Dakota, you won't be, of course. If you look at Tyree Kill this year, more than anything else, I think he proved more than just being a guy that runs fast and runs down the field as a deep threat. He had 111 receptions this year, which is by far the most of his entire career. He was more than just run down the field really fast. I mean, one of the best plays I saw from last season was he took like a 2-yard slant, like all the way, like it was like 50 yards or whatever in the playoffs. Like the guy just proved like he is a baller. Almost like in the, he wasn't.
Well, they had to change the offense too.
I mean, he's not taking handoffs like Debo Samuel was, but I think he proved more to being a complete wide receiver and a guy that can be just instant offense. He's not going to be that guy, I agree, in Miami. I think that they're going to coach him up. And listen, Mike Daniels came from the 49ers system. I wouldn't be surprised if he kind of has that Debo role for Tyree Kill. Debo's complaining about being a running back as a wide receiver, but the difference between Debo and Tyree Kill is one's making $30 million a year. The other one wants to make $30 million a year. I think Tyree Kill will have no problem taking 10 handoffs a game. I think it's going to be interesting. I like him going to the Dolphins. Obviously, you like Patrick Mahomes more than Tua. But I think in Mike Daniels' system, I think this year proving he's more than just I run really fast down the field kind of guy. I think he's in a good situation. And I think he just proved he's even a better wide receiver after this year.
All right.
Top 3 for me.
I mean, I have a number 3 last year, so not really any debates there. Number 3, and this one I didn't initially want to put him this high, but how the rankings kind of fell, and where I think he's projected going into this season. I had Justin Jefferson at number 3. I think it helps that he has a really great mentor next to him in Adam Thielen. I think those two complement each other incredibly well, and it doesn't hurt to have Dalvin Cook, if he can stay healthy, as a running back. And Kirk Cousins is a game manager, but he can slant it, here and there. So I think Justin Jefferson is in a good spot. I think he's on a good offense to kind of thrive in. So, I mean, if he, broke all the rookie records with 1,400 yards, last or 2 years ago, and then broke his own, had 1,600 yards this year. I think he's gonna. Him and Jamar are the new. I'm not gonna say they're gonna be the new Devonte, D-Hop kind of Julio Jones kind of guys, but they're already creeping towards that. So
I think they might be better. I think they might be more like
I wouldn't go that far, but
look at the rookie season these guys.
I mean, it's a passing league, though, so it's hard to really analyze the stats like that. But I agree, they're definitely blowing people out of the water, and at such a young age too, fresh out of the college. So
yeah. Well, I have Justin Jefferson at number 2 actually.
As long as he wasn't number 1, I'm fine. I'm okay.
No. But I think there's a reason he's number 2, and I think there's a reason he's above Adams. He's going from a Mike Zimmer offense that runs the shit out of the ball and is very vanilla. There is zero creativity to that offense, and they bring in Nathaniel Hackett and the guy who's was offensive coordinator, the opposite of Mike Zimmer. He's not going to run the ball up the middle to Dalvin Cook and then just throw when they have to. This is a guy they're going to air it out, and he's going to get a lot better targets. And this is a guy who had 1,600 yards. He had 108 catches. 482 of those yards came after the catch. His average at the target was 12 yards downfield, which is also great. He's not just a deep threat. He can beat you in a bunch of different ways. I think this is a guy who, again, his second year has 1,600 yards. This guy's a young guy. Why can't he repeat it for the long run? I think Devonte Adams, great receiver, number 3. Could you say he's number 2 and Justin Jefferson 3? Sure. But I think that Justin Jefferson has a better chance of having another 1,600-yard season than Devonte Adams having another 1,500-yard season.
I'll make no argument against Justin Jefferson. I do like Justin Jefferson, but I will frame it this way. And you are right. I do think they brought in Hackett and Kevin O'Connell, who's coming over from the Rams, and he's going to help make that more of an air raid offense.
That was Kevin O'Connell, not Hackett.
But I think Hackett's the offense coordinator, I believe, though. Maybe I'm wrong, but Connell's the coach. But
no, I think he went to the Broncos.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I don't know where you got Hackett then. Here I am believing your nonsense. But
I'm stupid.
The praise you have for Jefferson makes me confused why you don't have it for Devonte Adams. I think, if anything, Jefferson should make you confident in Devonte Adams still being elite. I mean, you're talking about Jefferson in a system where I think Kirk Cousins is just as good as Derek Carr. They're pretty much even on the quarterback scale. You have options with Dalvin Cook, who's a receiving back, and Adam Thielen, who I think are two much better offensive weapons than Darren Waller and Renfrow. I think seeing the success Jefferson has in that situation with a middle of the tier quarterback with other people around you, I think makes you confident Devonte Adams can do the same exact thing. I don't see any drop off, mostly because of what Justin Jefferson does. I think Justin Jefferson proves you don't need an MVP quarterback or be the only guy who's going to catch the ball on your team to put up these ridiculous numbers. But hey, and my argument must have been so good, I think Josh dropped out. But hey,
you couldn't handle it.
It's like, damn, he was right, and just dropped out. He said, "Peace, I can't handle it anymore." I do think. I mean, I forgot. I forgot to mention this when
it just cut out
when we were talking about Justin Jefferson. My argument was too good for you to handle. Apparently,
it was too much.
But I mean, I wish I did mention.
I forgot about O'Connell. Jefferson, I do like his future with the new coach coming from the Rams system, playing the McVay's kind of style to the Minnesota. Good mix.
Fair. Who did you have it at 2 then?
Me?
So I'm actually surprised
here.
Tim. Because I thought I actually thought we had a different mindset on this. I thought you guys were going to back me up here, but I'm going to go. Clearly, this is going to be probably different than you two. I'm going to go with Mr. Miguel Cabrera, a.k.a. Mr. Triple Crown, a.k.a. coming off arguably the best wide receiver season I've ever seen. And Dakota, you're going to hate this, but he won a Super Bowl, so that instantly bumps him up the rankings. And go with Cooper Kupp.
Well, I'm not going to hate it, because I also had Cooper Kupp at number 2.
Okay, look at that. We were from the same mindset. I think if you talk about season, easily the best wide receiver. Easily. If your stats and all that, the Super Bowl, Offensive Player of the Year, this guy was just pure money every single game, consistently. But I still think, now the cat's out of the bag, I have Devonte Adams number 1.
Oh,
I think when it comes down to game versus game, can't keep guessing. Game versus game, Devonte Adams is the best wide receiver in football. I had him number 1 last year, unanimously. He didn't have 1,500 yards. He didn't have the 18 touchdowns, but he still put up a very respectable season. I apologize. He did have 1,500 yards, just 11 touchdowns. So that was
come on, man.
Mixed up my years, but I mean, he was plenty good enough this year that I was like, why do I punish him? Why do I move him back? Cooper Kupp is amazing. I mean, honestly, it's the best season I've ever seen from a wide receiver. Just consistently, the guy was amazing. But the way I looked at it was Devonte Adams gave me no reason, besides moving to Oakland, I guess, or Las Vegas, to push him off that number 1 spot. And if anything, I mean, if you want to make the argument of more mouths to feed, I think Allen Robinson is going to be great this year in LA. I would worry about that cutting into Cooper Kupp's receptions and stuff. I think what's the guy's name? The young guy from Florida who's on the Rams.
Van Jefferson?
Oh, I'm blanking on his name. Van Jefferson. I think Van Jefferson takes a step forward. Odell didn't come on until halfway in the season, so not having him is irrelevant. But I think Allen Robinson's going to be good. I think Van Jefferson's going to be better. I think his weapons around him are going to be really good, that it's going to be hard to be Triple Crown winner again off of more mouths to feed. But skill for skill, I think if you put – my main argument was if I put either of these guys in all 32 systems in the league, I think Devonte Adams would consistently be better than Cooper Kupp.
I would agree. As a receiver, I think Adams is definitely better than Kupp. But where you are and how you're going to produce matters. Cooper Kupp's in the perfect situation. I mean, as a Sean McVay offense, he is as perfect as you can get for someone who moves the chains, can beat you deep, can throw them all over the formation. You can run up as a tight end, and this guy's going to beat anyone who covers him. You can't cover him one-on-one. If you double him, as you said, Allen Robinson is going to burn you. But I don't think that – I think they hide him enough in that scheme that he doesn't really get doubled. Because he lines up at tight end. He lines up outside. He lines up in the slot. And this guy, again, cannot be stopped. His season was historic. I know they had an extra game, but he had 145 catches, 1,900 yards, 76% catch rate, which is amazing for that many targets. His ADOT wasn't great at 8.6, but again, it kind of speaks to how well he kind of has moved around the formation and how the things that he can do. Again, and this is a really cool stat. He broke 12 tackles, or he broke 10 tackles this year and 12 tackles the year before, which is a pretty big number for a receiver, not known for, again, being electric with the ball in his hand. He also had he was a yak guy at 846 yards after contact, or yards after the catch. Crazy.
Oh, yeah, no. Nothing against him. He was incredible. I mean, it literally was the best wide receiver season I've ever seen. Even if you take the 17-game argument with his stats, you're like, well, he still beat all of his competitors who were also playing 17 games in everything. I do think that there is going to be a decline in stats because, I mean, I think Allen Robinson, you can look at maybe 1,200 yards, 10 touchdowns. But the other thing is, I think it took until like week 6, maybe week 8 to realize everyone in the NFL was like, wait, Cooper Kupp is actually really good. Now we made this argument with Stephon Diggs. Cooper Kupp isn't going to surprise anyone. He's coming into the league game first week, and he's getting double teams every single game. I think he had a little benefit to where it was halfway through the season, people started to catch on how good he was. Mm-hmm. But nothing against the guy. I mean, he's incredible, but I think it's going to be hard to replicate what he just did. And I think overall, I just like Devonte Adams a little better. That's why I had him 1 and Kupp 2.
Yeah, I mean, I had to keep with my, 1 year of phenomenal production kind of thing. But his thing was he slowly was getting to that level. I mean, 2019, he had 1,100 yards. 2020, he had 900 yards. And then, but to like explode for 1,900 yards in a season is mind blowing. I would agree with Tim though. Like even with all that said, I still think there will be a slight decline with Allen Robinson. I think kind of like what I said with some of the other players who, like Debo, for example, there's certain volumes of targets that certain players get every year, but when you have exceptional stats like that, I don't see a replica. But I think Cooper Kupp, I mean, he won Super Bowl MVP, was, like Tim said, Triple Crown. I mean, I was a little confused. I thought he forgot what sport we were talking about when he mentioned Miguel Cabrera, but I'm glad he, had an analogy or whatever he was doing with that. But yeah, no,
listen, up until Cooper Kupp, the first name you think of with Triple Crown is, Justified and Miguel Cabrera.
But my other thing was, like, I can't just, like, throw him in from, like, not even honorable mention last year and the year before to, like, number one, because there's a guy who's been doing it for years and years and years and years. Granted, he had a phenomenal quarterback, but I think, Matt Stafford's no slouch. He was in my top 10 last year, so I think him and Kupp had a nice little combination going there, too. So, but yeah, I had it in number 2, so then, shocker, my number 1 was also Devonte Adams, so.
Yeah, I just also think, like, Cooper Kupp, like, the guy, again, we talked about signal caller. Jared Goff is terrible.
He's pretty bad, yeah.
And like, it's not like Aaron Rodgers stepped to the door. Matt Stafford's a very, very, very good quarterback, definitely top 10, but, like, it's not like Tom Brady went there and this guy went for 2,000 yards. Matt Stafford went in, and he lit it up. They, apparently, again, Devonte Adams, Derek Carr, best friends. Matt Stafford, Cooper Kupp, they get breakfast with each other every morning. Maybe the best friend things. Maybe you guys are onto something.
Well, yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Wait until Derek Carr and Devonte Adams are splitting Eggos every morning of the season.
I think they can afford a little more boushiness than like Eggos. But
I guarantee by week 3 we start hearing about breakfasts that Derek Carr and Devonte Adams have together.
Maybe like a Belgian waffle.
Oh, that is not great for an Eggo.
So. Hey.
All right. I mean, any
cream, strawberries on top, the good stuff.
All right, let's. I haven't had dinner yet, so don't get me too hungry now. All right, so we had a little bit of a controversy in our top 5 going on here, but I think overall we had the same top 3 for the most part, or top 5, general players. I wouldn't argue Cooper Kupp number 1 though. I think that's fair, especially after the ridiculous year. But here's the thing that I like. So who's going to have that kind of season next year? Because every year we have somebody that just comes out of nowhere and has these, like, historic numbers. We had Jefferson with the rookie year, Cooper Kupp last year. Like, it's unpredictable when these players come out of nowhere and just destroy every record we ever seen. I mean, it is a passing league now. Teams don't really value running backs as much, so a lot more emphasis is on receiving. So, but it's crazy. Like, I never thought I would see almost 2,000 yards again.
Yeah, it's crazy. But I think the 17th game did help. But again, one less game, he still would have had 1,800 yards. Like,
yeah. But
I think some guys who could really step up next year and break that top 10 is like T. Higgins is a guy who kind of jumps out to me who's like, yeah.
I like T. Higgins a lot. I think the Bengals have. I could probably make an argument for a top 5 receiver core. Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, and Jamar Chase. Then you have Joe Mixon and Joe Burrow. Yeah, and they upgraded their offensive line. That Bengals offense is legit. So we'll see where they go. I hope Jamar Chase still remains the Jamar Chase we saw.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think T. Higgins can see a spike in production for sure.
Yeah, I'm buying stock. The guys that didn't make my top 10 this year, I love T. Higgins. I think you're going to see now Jamar Chase is going to get double teamed every game. Everyone else is going to eat around him. I like Michael Pittman a lot this year.
I like Michael Pittman,
I think Matt Ryan's in a good situation. Really like, and then 2 guys is going to kill me, but I like Scary Terry. I have a feeling him and Wentz are going to lock up pretty well. I think he's in for a big year. And then the wide receiver, I'm putting all my stock in, all of it. I think he's in for a huge year. Kills me, but I think CeeDee Lamb is the guy you're talking about.
Yeah. No Cooper gallops out for a while.
Well, look what he did. He was in the slot in the beginning of the year when he even when he was a rookie to get into it. And then once he got pushed outside, the guy was stud. I don't see he's giving you no reason to think he's not going to be dominant. Now he's going to have the opportunity. Dallas's offense is solid. Dak's going to have to put a lot of pressure to perform. I think CeeDee Lamb is the guy that goes from unranked to top 5 next year. At least he's the one that I see really jumping a couple rungs on this ladder.
Yeah, he's a beast. He's definitely a beast.
Do we see Devonte Smith make top 10 next year?
it's going to be very difficult to have A.J. Brown and Devonte Smith with Jalen Hurts throwing the ball.
We'll see.
I agree with that. I think it's honorable mention, kind of the ceiling. I think you are limited. It's a run-first offense, no matter what they tell you.
Yeah.
And you already have A.J. Brown who's going to eat. But listen, the ceiling's still good for him. I have no doubt that he can be a good wide receiver. I just don't think the system for right now is supporting 2 elite wide receivers, or top-end wide receivers at least.
Fair enough. All right. I think that
we get top 10 wide receiver.
Yeah, I think that wraps up a nice top 10. It's a little spicy here and there. I think. Josh forgot how to count.
I don't know how I did that.
Tim was making baseball references, so but it was all good.
10. It's a big number. Yeah. Till next time.
I think my list might look pretty good next year. CeeDee Lamb I have somehow at 10, and I didn't even say he was my 10. And he gets really good this year, and then it was an accident.
I don't know how you can call yourself an Eagles fan.
You were sleeping on your own list.
Over A.J. Brown, but hey, do you?
I actually did it.
Fair enough.
All right. Well, hey, till next time.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. It was a blast. Maybe next year I'll learn how to count, then when Debo has 2,000 yards this year, he'll crack the top 5.
If he has 2,000 yards, I'll put him at number 1. How about that?
All purpose, of course, with the rushing.
No, 2,000 receiving yards because it's a receiver list. Nah, I'm just playing. We'll see. We'll see how he does.
So. If he has 2,000, we have that recorded. He's got to be one for you.
It depends on who his quarterback is. So we'll see what happens. But
I think he'll be okay. Yeah.
All right,
boys. Appreciate it always. Thank you for coming on, Josh.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It was a pleasure. We'll can't wait to do it again. Can't wait for the season.
Yeah. Just wait. Deontay Johnson breakout year is coming.
Okay, on that
note, you're breaking up. I can't hear you.
Yeah.